going to do all 6 of these on the same video because there's no graphing, so it won't take quite so long to do this. Here's what I notice about this. I know my normal original equation is y equals x squared. So the first thing I notice about this is it opens up, which means there's not going to be a negative sign in front of the x squared. But I also notice that my vertex has shifted from 0, 0 to -3, -4. So I would have to add 4 to my y to get back up to 0. And I would have to add 3 to my x to get back over to 0. The other thing I check is when I move 1 away from the vertex, I move up 1 for y, so there's no shrink or stretch. When I subtract 4 from both sides, y equals x plus 3 quantity squared minus 4. This opens down, so I already know there's going to be a negative. When I move over 1, I move down 1, so there's no shrink or stretch. This is just a -1. My x would have to shift 3 back to get back to the origin. My y would have to shift up 1 to get back to the origin. And then subtracting 1 from both sides, y equals negative sign, which is the opposite of x minus 3 quantity squared minus 1. So this thing opens up. The y hasn't shifted at all, so y is just y. Opens up, so there's no negative, but when I move 1 away from the vertex, I'm shifting up 2, which means I have a stretch factor of 2. My x, I would have to add 5 to get back to the origin. And then don't forget your square. In this case, my y value of my vertex has shifted, so I would have to add 2 to my y to get back to the origin. I also notice, and it's kind of hard to tell maybe, it's over 1 and up, down something, but when it's over 2, I normally would expect that this would go down 4, but it only goes down 2. It only goes down half as much as I would expect. So negative, because this thing opens down, 0.5, because I only see half of the change. I would normally expect to see a change of 4 here. I only saw a change of 2. And then my x didn't shift at all, so actually this stays x squared. Subtracting 2 here to get the y by itself, y equals -0.5 x squared minus 2. In this case, I notice that this thing opens down. I also see that normally when I shift 1, I would move down 1, but I move down 1.5. When I shift 2, I move down 6. So this is -1.5. My x value of my vertex is at -5, so I would have to add 5 to get back to 0. My y is at +8, so I would have to subtract 8 to get back to 0. And then adding 8 to both sides, y equals -1.5 x plus 5 quantity squared plus 8. And the last problem was just to see if you were really paying attention. I noticed that the vertex hasn't shifted at all, so I don't have to add or subtract anything from x or y. I noticed it opens up, so there's no negative, and when I move over 1, I move up 1 from the vertex, so this is just y equals x squared. This is the parent function.